It was the kind of silence that presses against your ears, only broken by the faint crackling of snow under heavy boots and the distant hum of the engine. Then the radio crackled, shattering the stillness. Fire reported at Blackwood Chalet. Family trapped inside. The tension in the fire truck thickened like the smoke they were about to face. The narrow mountain road was a winding, treacherous path blanketed in snow, making every turn a gamble. The Blackwood Chalet, an isolated retreat perched on the edge of a forest, had always been known for its picturesque views, not for emergencies like this. The dispatcher's voice over the radio was urgent. A family of 4 was trapped, and the fire was spreading fast. Leading the charge was Captain Mike Reynolds, a seasoned firefighter with over 2 decades of experience. His sharp eyes scanned the snowy expanse ahead as he issued orders to his team. Beside him sat Ellie Davis, the newest recruit, gripping her helmet tightly. Ellie's breath was shallow, her thoughts racing. This was her first major operation, and the stakes couldn't be higher. "Ellie," Mike's voice broke through her spiraling thoughts. "Stay focused, trust your training. We'll get through this." In the back, veteran firefighter Luke Henderson and engineer Nate Carter prepared the equipment. Luke, with his calm demeanor and unshakable confidence, offered Ellie a reassuring nod. Nate double-checked the pumps and hoses, knowing that any failure in the freezing temperatures could cost lives. As they approached the chalet, the glow of the flames became visible, piercing through the night like a sinister beacon. The once idyllic cabin was now a raging inferno, its fiery light reflecting eerily off the snow-covered ground. The trees surrounding the chalet were coated in frost, creating a surreal contrast to the raging fire. Mike slammed the brakes, and the team sprang into action. Ellie's boots sank into the snow as she unloaded the hose reel, her heart pounding. Luke and Nate moved swiftly, their years of experience evident in their efficiency. The air was bitterly cold, but the heat from the fire was intense, a jarring clash of elements. The sound of crackling wood and roaring flames filled the air, mingling with distant cries for help. Mike assessed the scene. The structure was partially collapsed, and the flames were rapidly consuming what remained. "Team, we've got minutes, maybe less," Mike shouted over the chaos. "Nate, keep the water flowing. Luke, Ellie, with me. Family's on the second floor." The gravity of the situation hit Ellie like a wave, but she pushed the fear aside. The weight of her gear felt heavier than usual as she followed Mike and Luke toward the entrance. As they breached the front door, thick smoke enveloped them, reducing visibility to almost nothing. Mike's voice cut through the commotion. "Keep low. Stay close." Ellie took a deep breath, the oxygen from her mask keeping her steady. This was it, the moment she'd trained for. The chalet's entrance groaned under the flames as Mike, Ellie, and Luke pushed inside. Smoke swirled chaotically, obscuring their view and clawing at their lungs. Even with masks, the acrid smell of burning wood lingered. Inside, the furniture was reduced to charred skeletons, walls blackened, and the floor unsteady. Ellie's breaths were quick but controlled. A half-burnt mantle caught her eye, a family photo of 2 adults and 2 children. That image fueled her resolve. They reached the stairs where the family was reportedly trapped. The steps were scorched and crumbling. "Hold on," Mike said. "Ellie, get the extension ladder from the truck. We're not risking a collapse." She nodded, retreating swiftly to the freezing night. The cold hit her like a wall, a sharp contrast to the furnace inside. Pulling the ladder from its mount, her fingers were numb despite gloves. "You're doing great," Nate said near the truck, giving her a thumbs up. Ellie hauled the ladder back in. Mike and Luke secured it against the stairwell, ascending one by one, boots crunching brittle wood. Ellie followed, her heart pounding. The second floor was worse. Flames licked the ceiling, and smoke pooled in every corner. Faint cries for help guided them. "There!" Luke pointed to a door, its frame blackened but intact. Mike kicked it open. Inside, a woman clutched 2 small children, her face streaked with soot. Nearby, a man was slumped against the wall unconscious. "Mike, the husband's down," Luke called. Mike acted quickly. "Luke, get the man." Ellie, help the mother and kids. Move fast. The roof's about to go. Ellie approached the mother, her voice calm despite the chaos. I've got you. Hold tight, okay? She secured the children under her arms, their small faces buried in her jacket. As they exited, the floor groaned ominously, a sharp crack echoing. The roof's giving way, Mike shouted. Luke hoisted the unconscious man, steady despite the precarious footing. The hallway was now an inferno. Ellie focused on the children, their muffled sobs pushing her forward. Mike led the way, clearing debris. At the top of the stairs, the ladder remained, but flames engulfed the stairwell. No time to wait, Mike commanded. Go! Ellie descended first, balancing the children. Each step felt endless, the heat searing her gear. Behind her, Luke followed with the man, breathing hard but steady. Reaching the bottom, Nate and another firefighter helped the family to safety. Mike and Luke stayed back, ensuring everyone was clear before exiting. Outside, the freezing air was a blessing. Ellie handed the children to paramedics, her hands trembling. The mother clutched her hand briefly, tears streaming. Thank you, she whispered, her voice raw with emotion. Ellie nodded, her heart still racing. The battle wasn't over, but they'd saved lives. The frigid air outside was no sanctuary. As the rescued family reached ambulances, the firefighters barely had time to regroup. Behind them, the chalet blazed, flames slicing the night sky. Mike's radio crackled. The fire's spreading toward the basement, Nate warned. If there's propane or fuel down there, the whole place could blow. Mike wiped sweat from his brow, his voice resolute. We're going back in. Ellie exchanged a glance with Luke. Exhausted and drenched, they didn't hesitate. Ellie, Luke, we need to check the basement, Mike ordered. Nate, keep the water steady. If it goes, we need everything we've got. Approaching the house, they faced heat clashing with icy air, creating a ghostly mist. Flames leapt through shattered windows, casting eerie shadows on the snow. Inside, the heat was unbearable. Fire consumed the remains of the interior, and collapsing beams groaned ominously. Smoke thickened, their flashlights struggling to cut through. They reached the basement entrance, a narrow stairwell descending into darkness. Ellie gripped the railing, hesitating briefly. I'll take point, Luke offered. No, Mike said. Ellie, you're with me. Luke, cover us from above. The stairs were treacherous, slick with melted snow and debris. As Mike and Ellie descended, the air grew heavier, filled with the metallic stench of burning plastic. The basement was a chaotic scene of debris and fire. Boxes and tools lay scattered, some ablaze. In the corner, Ellie spotted a propane tank, its blistered paint a grim warning. Mike, over there, she shouted. Mike moved swiftly. Ellie, cool it down, now! Ellie grabbed her fire extinguisher and sprayed the tank, white mist hissing against the heat. It wasn't enough. Too late, Luke yelled. The fire's spreading. Flames surged down the stairwell, blocking escape. The heat was suffocating, and an ominous hiss grew as the tank neared its limit. Ellie, find another way out, Mike ordered. Ellie's flashlight darted around until it landed on a small, snow-covered window. There, she called. Go, Mike shouted. Ellie cleared debris, forcing the frost-covered glass open. Cold air rushed in as she turned back. Mike, come on! Mike sprayed flames to buy time, then joined her. They squeezed through the narrow window, emerging just as an explosion ripped through the chalet. The blast threw them into the snow, debris raining down. For a moment, silence replaced the roar of flames, broken only by falling snow. Mike, you okay? Ellie asked, her voice trembling. Mike groaned, sitting up. I've been better. Luke rushed over, helping them up. That was too close. Ellie looked at the skeletal remains of the chalet, flames still devouring its frame. Let's regroup, Mike said, hoarse but steady. We're not done yet. The explosion tore through the snowy landscape, but the battle wasn't over. Flames found new fuel in hidden crevices, spreading unpredictably across the debris. The bitter cold made every step exhausting, yet the team pressed on, knowing the stakes were still high. Nate's voice came over the radio. Pressure's dropping in the hoses. Ice is forming in the pumps. We lose the lines, we're done. Mike tightened his jaw. Ellie, take Luke and help Nate. We can't lose water flow. Ellie and Luke sprinted to the truck, where Nate was frantically breaking ice off the hoses. Steam rose as freezing water hit the frigid air, a reminder of the brutal conditions. Back at the scene, Mike scanned for hotspots. His flashlight revealed charred beams and smoldering snow. The acrid smell of burning wood filled the air. "Command, we neutralized one propane tank, but I see fuel leakage near the foundation. Is there a storage tank underground?" The dispatcher replied tensely. "Records show a buried diesel tank for the generator, 20 feet from the structure." Mike's stomach sank. If the fire reached it, the explosion would be catastrophic. "Ellie, Luke, Nate, change of plans," he said over the radio. "There's a buried diesel tank at risk. Nate, maintain water flow. Ellie, Luke, we're digging." The team regrouped, shovels in hand. Snow, heavy and crusted with ice, resisted their every effort. Breath clouded the freezing air as they worked tirelessly. "Mike, are we sure this is the spot?" Ellie asked, her voice strained. "It has to be," Mike replied. "The fire's getting closer. We can't waste time second-guessing." As they dug, the ground began to tremble. Luke froze, gripping his shovel. "Do you feel that?" Mike's pulse quickened. The fire might have reached underground vapors or fuel. "Faster!" he urged. Ellie's shovel hit something solid. "Here!" she shouted, clearing snow to reveal the steel cap of the tank. Mike inspected it. The cap was hot, with a faint hiss from the pressure valve. "It's venting. If we cool it, we might stop ignition." "On it!" Nate's voice crackled. A high-pressure water stream hit the tank, steam hissing as the surface cooled. The freezing air formed a fragile ice layer over the steel. "Keep it steady," Mike called. Ellie and Luke packed snow around the tank for insulation. The ground shook again, a deep rumble echoing beneath them. "Mike, the structure's unstable," Nate warned. "The rest might collapse." "Understood." Ellie, Luke, fall back. Nate, keep the water flowing until I signal. Reluctantly, Ellie and Luke retreated. Mike stayed behind, ensuring the tank cooled. The ground quaked beneath him, a chilling reminder of the danger. "Mike, you're out of time!" Ellie shouted. The hissing subsided. Mike stepped back and gave Nate the thumbs up. The water stopped, leaving the tank encased in ice. "Tank's stable," Mike said, relief in his voice. "For now." As the team regrouped, the fire began to wane. Water and freezing temperatures finally turned the tide, but the night's dangers weren't over. "Let's finish this," Mike said, his resolve unwavering. The blaze was weakening, but its embers resisted fiercely, refusing to yield to the cold night. For the firefighters, this was the critical phase: containment. Every extinguished ember was a victory, every oversight a potential disaster. Mike rallied his team. "The diesel tank is stable, but we're not done. Establish a perimeter. No flare-ups, no surprises." Ellie, Luke, and Nate nodded, their exhaustion evident, but their resolve unshaken. The wind whipped snow into the air, mingling with ash and soot that covered the ground. The surreal scene, fire and ice colliding, was both destructive and beautiful, a stark reminder of nature's duality. Ellie scanned the perimeter for hazards, her flashlight cutting through the dark. Shards of charred wood and warped metal littered the ground. She stopped abruptly, spotting faint footprints leading away from the wreckage. "Mike," Ellie called over the radio, "I've got tracks heading toward the tree line." "Human or animal?" Mike asked. "Too big for an animal. Might be someone from the family who ran and didn't make it," she replied. "Luke, go with Ellie. Follow the tracks carefully and report back," Mike ordered. Ellie and Luke moved cautiously, their breath visible in the icy air. The tracks faded as they neared the forest, partially obscured by fresh snow. "There," Ellie whispered, pointing. A figure was slumped against a tree, motionless. Luke knelt beside him. "Sir, are you okay?" he asked. It was Mr. Callahan, the chalet's patriarch. He clutched his arm, shivering uncontrollably, his face pale and lips blue. Classic signs of hypothermia. "He's alive but needs medical help now," Luke radioed. "Bring him back to the truck. We'll stabilize him," Mike replied. Supporting Mr. Callahan, Ellie and Luke headed back as the rest of the team worked to secure the site. The fire was finally subdued, leaving smoldering debris and a profound sense of relief. By the time they returned, paramedics were on the scene, their flashing lights casting blue streaks across the snow. "You found him just in time," a paramedic said, wrapping Mr. Callahan in a thermal blanket. Mike surveyed the scene, the fire extinguished, the family accounted for, and his team safe. The night's events, the risks and sacrifices, played through his mind. Despite the challenges, they had prevailed. Steam rose from their soaked gear as the team gathered around the truck. Mike spoke. "Tonight, we faced one of our toughest battles. We stood strong, adapted, and saved lives. That's what this job is about." Ellie glanced at the horizon, where dawn painted the sky in orange and pink hues, a sharp contrast to the chaos of the night. She smiled faintly, exhaustion giving way to pride. The paramedics loaded Mr. Callahan into the ambulance as heavy snow began to fall, blanketing the scene in silence. The world seemed to exhale, grateful for their efforts. Mike clapped Ellie's shoulder. "You did good." "So did all of us," she replied. Though the battle was over, its impact lingered, etched into their memories. It was a night of courage and determination, a triumph over nature's fury. The sun rose over the snow-covered mountains, casting golden light on the charred remains of the Callahan chalet. The firefighters, exhausted from the night's ordeal, stood quietly as the last equipment was packed away. Though their work was done, the challenges of the fire lingered vividly in their minds. Mike stood by the engine, surveying the smoldering debris. Smoke curled into the crisp mountain air as he addressed his team. "We'll debrief at the station. For now, take a moment. This was tough, but we pulled through." Ellie leaned against the truck, her helmet in her lap. She gazed at the now serene landscape, exhaustion tempered by quiet pride. The night's events had tested her, but she had risen to the challenge. "Think they'll be okay?" Ellie asked, nodding toward the ambulance carrying the Callahan family down the mountain. "They've got a long road ahead," Mike replied, "but they're alive. That's what counts." Luke, his face streaked with soot, joined them. "They owe that to you, Ellie. Those footprints. You noticed what the rest of us didn't. That saved him." Ellie shrugged, a modest smile on her lips. It was a team effort. We all had each other's backs. As they spoke, a news van pulled into the clearing. A reporter stepped out, microphone in hand, her crew quickly setting up in the cold. Mike sighed. "All right, let's keep this short and professional," he said, stepping forward. "Captain Mike Evans," the reporter began, "can you share your thoughts on last night's operation?" Mike nodded, his voice steady. "It was challenging. The fire, the snow, the isolation. But this team worked tirelessly to ensure every life was accounted for. That's what we trained for, and that's what we'll always do." The reporter turned to Ellie. "This was your first major operation, wasn't it?" Ellie hesitated, glancing at Mike, who nodded encouragingly. "It was intense," she admitted, "but being part of this team makes all the difference. Last night was about trust, courage, and doing what needed to be done." As the crew wrapped up, Ellie turned back to the scene. The chalet's ruins stood in stark contrast to the pristine white landscape, a somber reminder of life's fragility. Later at the station, the team gathered in the kitchen with mugs of hot coffee. Warmth seeped into their hands, driving out the cold from the mountains. "To another one down," Luke said, raising his mug. "To lives saved," Ellie added. Mike raised his own mug, a rare smile on his face. "To the best damn team I've ever worked with." As they clinked mugs, a quiet understanding passed between them. They weren't just colleagues. They were a family forged in fire and ice, bound by their shared commitment to protect and serve. Outside, fresh snow fell silently, blanketing the world in a clean slate. The mountains stood as witnesses to their courage, as if nature itself acknowledged the resilience and bravery it had demanded. This was their calling, their life, and they wouldn't trade it for anything. Thanks for watching Brave Sparks. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us bring you more powerful and inspiring stories. Stay brave, and we'll see you in the next one.